Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple copper penny, only to discover it could be worth far more than 1 cent. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 1962 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, a small coin with a big history, and in rare cases, an even bigger value. The 1962 D Lincoln penny was struck at the famous Denver Mint, represented by the small D Mint mark located just below the date on the obverse of the coin. This tiny letter is incredibly important because it tells collectors exactly where the coin was produced. In 1962, the Denver Mint was operating at full speed, producing hundreds of millions of pennies to keep up with the growing American economy. The design of this coin carries the familiar and beloved portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front. This iconic image was created by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. By 1962, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for more than half a century, becoming one of the most recognized coins in American history. On the reverse side, you'll find the classic wheat ears design had already been retired in 1958. So the 1962 D penny features the Lincoln Memorial reverse, introduced in 1959. The Lincoln Memorial design was created by Frank Gasparo and marked a significant change in the coin's appearance. For the first time in U.S. history, a real historical building appeared on a circulating coin. If you look closely, you can even see the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. Now let's talk about composition. The 1962 D Lincoln penny was struck in 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This was before the major change in 1982 when pennies shifted primarily to zinc due to rising copper prices. That means your 1962 D penny has real intrinsic metal value, which adds to its appeal for collectors. In total, the Denver Mint produced over 1.7 billion 1962 D pennies. With such a large mintage, you might assume this coin is extremely common and worth only face value. And in most cases, that's true. A heavily circulated 1962 D penny found in pocket change is usually worth just 1 cent, or perhaps a few cents to a collector who needs it for a basic album, but condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from poor to mint state. A 1962 D penny in worn condition, with scratches and dull surfaces, may have very little collector demand. However, when you find one in uncirculated condition, meaning it was never used in everyday commerce, the story changes dramatically. Mint state examples often display strong luster, sharp details in Lincoln's hair, and clean fields without major marks. The red color of the copper, often described as RD by grading companies, significantly boosts value. Over time, copper naturally tones to brown, so fully red examples from 1962 are highly desirable. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate these coins carefully, assigning numerical grades such as MS63, MS65, or even MS67. Each small increase in grade can mean a substantial increase in price. At lower mint state grades, the 1962 D penny might be worth a modest premium, perhaps a few dollars to a few dozen dollars depending on eye appeal. However, the real excitement begins when we talk about high-grade specimens and rare varieties. One of the most sought-after aspects of the 1962 D penny is the possibility of errors and exceptional preservation. Collectors search for coins with double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, or die cracks. These minting errors can dramatically increase the coin's value because they are far scarcer than standard issues. Another important factor is strike quality. During the early 1960s, some Lincoln pennies were not struck with full detail, especially on Lincoln's hair and the steps of the memorial. A sharply struck 1962 D penny with crisp detail stands out among the billions produced. Color designation also plays a crucial role. Coins are classified as brown, red-brown, or red. A fully red coin with blazing original mint color is significantly more valuable than a brown example of the same grade. Collectors are willing to pay strong premiums for that vibrant copper glow. Let's also consider historical context. In 1962, America was in the midst of the Cold War. The Cuban Missile Crisis would unfold that same year. While major world events were shaping history, billions of pennies quietly entered circulation, passing from hand to hand in grocery stores, diners, and gas stations across the country. Each 1962 penny is a small time capsule from that era. Now here's where things become truly fascinating. While most 1962 pennies are common, a tiny number survive in extraordinary condition, virtually flawless under magnification. These elite examples, often graded MS67 or higher, are extremely rare because copper is a soft metal. Even minor contact with other coins during production can leave marks. When a nearly perfect specimen surfaces, bidding wars can erupt at major auctions. Serious collectors compete fiercely for top population coins, especially those certified at the highest grade levels known. The difference between an MS65 and an MS67 coin might appear subtle to the untrained eye, but under magnification, the higher grade coin will have superior luster, fewer contact marks, and exceptional eye appeal. These microscopic differences translate into dramatic price gaps. Collectors also pay attention to population reports. If only a handful of coins are graded at the very top level, demand skyrockets. Scarcity combined with condition creates the perfect formula for value. It's important to note that not every shiny 1962 penny is valuable. Many have been cleaned, polished, or altered in ways that reduce their worth. Cleaning a coin can permanently damage its surface and eliminate much of its collector value. That's why experts always recommend leaving coins in their original condition and having them professionally evaluated. So how can you tell if your 1962 penny might be special? Start by examining the coin under good lighting. Look for strong luster that flows across the surface as you tilt it. Check Lincoln's cheek and jaw for minimal marks. Inspect the reverse for sharp detail in the memorial columns. And of course, confirm that the small D mint mark appears clearly beneath the date. If your coin appears unusually well preserved, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. While grading involves a fee, it can be worthwhile if your coin has exceptional quality. Many collectors build complete date and mint sets of Lincoln memorial cents. For them, upgrading to the finest known example becomes a lifelong pursuit. The 1962 penny might seem ordinary, but at the highest levels of collecting, even common dates become rare treasures when preserved perfectly. The beauty of coin collecting lies in this contrast. A coin made by the billions can still contain hidden gems. Somewhere out there, perhaps in an old jar, drawer, or inherited collection, a pristine 1962 Lincoln cent may be waiting to be discovered, and when one of those extraordinary examples crosses the auction block in superb condition, the results can be astonishing. There are documented cases where a 1962 Lincoln 1-cent penny, graded at the highest known level with blazing red color and nearly flawless surfaces, achieved an incredible auction price of $46,763. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally worth just 1 cent transforming into a 5-figure collectible simply because of preservation, rarity at the top grade, and intense collector demand. That is the magic of numismatics. The next time you see a humble penny, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Study the date. Search for that tiny D mint mark. Examine the color and condition. Because in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest details can make the biggest difference. The 1962 Lincoln penny reminds us that history is often hiding in plain sight, sometimes in the smallest, most overlooked objects. And for those who take the time to learn, observe, and preserve, even a single cent can tell a remarkable story. We're diving deep into one of the most talked about modern coins in American history, the 1970 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it looks like just another ordinary copper coin. But for collectors and treasure hunters, this small piece of change can hold surprising value and an incredible story. The 1970 Lincoln cent was struck at the famous Denver Mint in the United States of America. The D mint mark, located just below the date on the obverse of the coin, tells us it was produced in Denver. This coin is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, can be found on the reverse near the rim on many issues, although by 1970 they were subtly placed on the obverse near Lincoln's shoulder. By 1970, America was experiencing social change, economic shifts, and the ongoing effects of the late 1960s. Yet through all that transformation, the Lincoln penny remained a steady symbol of everyday commerce. The 1970 penny was composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that rich reddish-brown appearance when preserved in uncirculated condition. Millions upon millions of these pennies were minted in Denver that year. In fact, the mintage exceeded 2 billion coins, meaning the vast majority of 1970 pennies are extremely common. In circulated condition, most examples are worth only a few cents above face value. So why are collectors so excited about this coin? The answer lies in condition and rare varieties. When it comes to coin value, condition is everything. A heavily worn 1970 penny that has spent decades in circulation will show flattened details on Lincoln's hair and coat, as well as a dull, dark surface. Such coins typically carry minimal premium. However, when you find a 1970 penny in brilliant uncirculated condition, with strong luster and sharp details, the value increases significantly. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher by professional grading services can command respectable prices in the collector's market, but the real excitement begins when we talk about rare varieties and high-grade survivors. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1970 Lincoln cent series involves the small date and large date varieties. While these varieties are more famously associated with the Philadelphia issue, collectors still pay very close attention to the style of the date and the sharpness of the strike on Denver coins as well. Subtle differences in the shape of the numerals can make a noticeable difference in value, especially for those building specialized collections. Strike quality also matters. Because such a large number of coins were produced, dies wore out quickly. Some 1970 pennies show weak details, particularly in Lincoln's hair and the reverse lettering. A sharply struck coin with crisp details and blazing red color is far more desirable than an average example. Color designation plays a crucial role in determining value. Copper coins are categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. A fully red 1970 penny that has been preserved carefully since the day it was minted can be dramatically more valuable than a brown example that has toned over time. Collectors are often willing to pay substantial premiums for coins with original mint luster and vibrant color. Then there's the possibility of errors. Mint errors are like hidden treasures within the world of coin collecting. Off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, and die cracks can all add significant value to a coin. While major error varieties for the 1970 penny are not as famous as some earlier Lincoln cent errors, collectors constantly search through rolls hoping to discover an overlooked gem. Another factor that drives value is professional grading. When a coin is authenticated and graded by a reputable service, it gains credibility and market trust. High-grade examples certified as MS-66 or MS-67 are especially desirable because so few coins survive in such pristine condition. Even though billions were made, very few remain flawless after decades of handling, storage, and environmental exposure. It's important to understand that rarity in modern coins often isn't about how many were minted, but how many survived in top condition. Many 1970 pennies entered circulation immediately and were used extensively. Others were stored improperly, leading to spots, discoloration, or surface damage. Finding one with perfect surfaces, sharp strike, and glowing red color is far more difficult than it might seem. Collectors also appreciate the historical continuity of the Lincoln cent design. The reverse of the 1970 penny still features the iconic wheat-free memorial design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, shows the seated statue of Lincoln visible between the columns, a remarkable detail for such a small coin. For new collectors, the 1970 penny offers an accessible entry point into numismatics. It's affordable in lower grades, widely available, and provides an opportunity to learn about grading, varieties, and mint marks. Searching bank rolls for high-grade examples can be both fun and educational. For advanced collectors, the challenge lies in assembling the finest possible registry-quality example. Registry sets, hosted by grading companies, allow collectors to compete for the highest graded coins in a series. In that competitive environment, even a common date coin like the 1970 penny can achieve impressive prices if it ranks among the best known. Now let's talk about what can truly shock people. While most 1970 pennies are modestly priced, an exceptional specimen in superb gem condition with outstanding eye appeal once reached a staggering value in the collector's market. This was not an ordinary coin pulled from pocket change. It was a carefully preserved, professionally graded example with near-perfect surfaces and blazing original red color. Stories like this fuel the excitement of coin hunting. Imagine discovering that a simple 1-cent coin you've ignored for years could be worth thousands. It inspires people to check their jars of spare change, search through inherited collections, and learn more about mint marks and grading scales. That if you are searching for a valuable 1970 penny, pay attention to these key details. Look for strong, sharp lettering on both sides. Examine Lincoln's hair and cheek for full detail. Tilt the coin under a light to see if original mint luster flows across the surface. Avoid coins with heavy scratches, corrosion, or dark spotting. And if you believe you found an exceptional example, consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Remember that coin collecting is not just about money. It's about history, artistry, and the thrill of discovery. The 1970 Lincoln cent connects us to a specific moment in American history. Every coin passed through countless hands, witnessing everyday transactions, yet a tiny fraction survived untouched, waiting to become prized collectibles. So the next time you see a penny dated 1970 with a small d beneath the year, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. That little copper coin represents more than its face value. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting to explore a coin that many people overlook every single day, the 1976 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. The year 1976 was a powerful and emotional time in American history. It marked the 200th anniversary of the nation's independence. While the spotlight was on the famous bicentennial quarters, half dollars, and dollars, the humble Lincoln penny was still being produced in massive numbers. Yet hidden among millions of ordinary coins are rare treasures that collectors are willing to pay astonishing amounts for. The 1976 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint, represented by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse of the coin. This coin features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His right-facing profile has been a symbol of American resilience and leadership since 1909. On the reverse side, the coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Inside the memorial, if you look closely with magnification, you can even see a tiny depiction of the seated Lincoln statue. That level of detail on such a small coin continues to amaze collectors worldwide. Now you might be thinking, this coin was produced in huge numbers, so how could it possibly be valuable? That is exactly what makes coin collecting so exciting. Value is not only about mintage numbers. It is about condition, rarity and high grades, and the presence of minting errors. In 1976, the Denver Mint struck billions of pennies. Most of them are still worth just 1 cent today. However, when we talk about coins graded in extremely high mint state conditions such as MS-67 or higher, the story changes dramatically. Coins in these grades must have nearly flawless surfaces, strong original luster, and minimal contact marks. Finding a 1976 D penny in such pristine condition is far more difficult than most people realize. Over time, pennies were tossed into jars, dropped on sidewalks, and exchanged countless times in everyday transactions. Very few were carefully preserved from the moment they left the mint. That is why top-grade examples are scarce today. Another factor that drives value is minting errors. Error coins are incredibly popular among collectors because they are unique and visually striking. With 1976 D pennies, collectors search for off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other unusual mint mistakes. That a double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a slight misalignment during production, causing a doubling effect on the lettering or design. If you notice clear doubling on the date or inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, you might be holding something special. Off-center strikes are also fascinating. These happen when the coin blank is not properly centered during striking, leaving part of the design missing. The more dramatic the off-center error, while still showing the full date, the more desirable it becomes. Collectors also pay close attention to color designation. Lincoln pennies from this era can be classified as brown, or red. A fully red coin with bright original copper color is much more desirable than one that has darkened over time. Copper naturally tones and oxidizes, so maintaining that fiery red appearance for decades is rare. When coins are submitted to professional grading services, they are carefully examined for strike quality, luster, surface preservation, and eye appeal. Even tiny differences can mean thousands of dollars in value difference between grades. Imagine two 1970-60 pennies side by side. One has minor scratches, dull color, and visible wear. The other shines with blazing mint luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually no imperfections. To the untrained eye they may look similar, but to experienced collectors the difference is enormous. The composition of the 1970-60 Lincoln penny is also important to understand. These coins were made primarily of copper, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the composition change in 1982 when pennies transitioned mostly to zinc. That higher copper content adds intrinsic metal value as well, although the collectible value is what truly captures attention. Coin collecting is often described as treasure hunting in plain sight. Unlike gold bars or rare paintings, valuable coins can still be found in circulation, old coin rolls, estate collections, or even forgotten jars sitting in someone's home. Many collectors search bank rolls hoping to find high-grade examples that were never heavily circulated. Others attend coin shows, auctions, and estate sales searching for overlooked gems. The 1970-60 penny may not sound rare at first, but when certified in superb gem condition, it becomes an elite collectible. Population reports from grading services show that only a tiny fraction of surviving coins reach the very highest grades. Condition rarity is one of the most powerful forces in numismatics. A coin does not need to have a low mintage to be rare. It simply needs to be rare in the condition. Collectors demand that if you are interested in checking your own coins, start by examining them under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, clean fields without scratches, and bright original color. Avoid cleaning coins, as cleaning almost always reduces their value significantly. Storage is also essential. If you believe you have a high-grade example, protect it in a proper coin holder. Exposure to moisture, air, and improper handling can quickly damage a coin's surfaces. The excitement of discovering a valuable coin is unmatched. It transforms something ordinary into something extraordinary. A single penny, normally ignored or even discarded, can suddenly become a centerpiece of a collection. Collectors appreciate the 1970-60 Lincoln penny not just for potential value but also for its historical connection. It represents the bicentennial year of the United States, a time of national celebration and pride. Every coin from that year carries a small piece of that history. The market for high-grade Lincoln cents has remained strong because the Lincoln series is one of the most widely collected in the world. From beginners filling folders to advanced collectors building registry sets, demand continues across all levels. When a top-graded 1970-60 penny appears at auction, competitive bidding can drive the price far beyond what most people would ever imagine for a 1-cent coin. Collectors chasing registry rankings are willing to pay premiums for the finest known examples. That is where the story becomes truly astonishing. While most 1970-60 pennies are worth face value, a superb gem example in extraordinary condition has reached a value of $46,763. Yes, a single penny from 1976 with a small D mint mark has achieved that incredible figure due to its flawless preservation, rarity in top grade, and intense collector demand. Stories like this are what make coin collecting so addictive and exciting. They remind us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in the smallest and most unexpected places. So the next time you receive change, do not ignore those copper coins. Take a closer look. Examine the date. Check for the D mint mark. Study the condition carefully. We're diving deep into a coin that many people overlook, a coin that might still be hiding in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or even loose change in your pocket. We're talking about the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. At first glance, it seems ordinary. But as every true coin collector knows, ordinary coins can sometimes carry extraordinary value. The 1978 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909. This iconic coin features the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected leaders in American history. The obverse of the coin shows Lincoln's profile facing right, along with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," to the left, and the date 1978 to the right. When there is no mint mark under the date, it means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest mints in the United States, has produced billions of coins over the decades. In 1978 alone, the Philadelphia facility struck a massive number of Lincoln cents. Because of this high mintage, most 1978 no-mint mark pennies are very common. In circulated condition, they are typically worth only their face value of 1 cent. Even in lightly circulated condition, they rarely command more than a few cents. So why are we even talking about this coin? Because condition and rare errors can transform a common coin into a collector's dream. Let's first talk about composition. The 1978 Lincoln cent is made primarily of copper. It contains 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the composition changed in 1982 to a copper-plated zinc core. Because of its high copper content, many collectors appreciate these earlier pennies for their classic metallic feel and rich reddish-brown appearance. Now imagine finding a 1978 penny that looks brand new, with blazing red luster, sharp details, and no visible marks. In the coin collecting world, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state. Mint state coins are those that were never circulated and show no wear from use. Within mint state, there are different levels, from MS-60 up to MS-70. The higher the number, the closer the coin is to perfection. A 1978 no-mint mark penny in average mint state condition might be worth a few dollars. But when you reach the highest certified grades, the value can rise significantly. Professional grading services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company carefully evaluate coins under magnification. They look at luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. For a coin like the 1978 Lincoln cent, reaching an ultra-high grade such as MS-67 or higher is extremely difficult. Most coins from 1978 show small contact marks because they were produced in such large quantities and stored in bags where they hit against each other. Finding one with nearly flawless surfaces is rare, but condition is only one part of the story. Errors and varieties can also play a huge role in value. Coin errors happen during the minting process. These can include double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual mistakes. A double die occurs when the coin die receives a misaligned impression during its creation, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. If a strong double die were discovered on a 1978 no-mint mark penny, collectors would pay serious attention. Off-center strikes are another exciting possibility. If a coin is not properly aligned when struck, part of the design may be missing, and a blank crescent-shaped area may appear. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more desirable it can be, especially if the date is still visible. Then there are broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal diameter due to a missing retaining collar during striking. These unusual pieces stand out immediately because they simply don't look like normal pennies. Collectors are always hunting for these rare minting mistakes. A regular 1978 penny might be common, but a spectacular error version could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its uniqueness and condition. Another factor to consider is color designation. Copper coins are often categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. A full red coin retains most of its original mint luster and color. Over time, copper naturally tones and darkens. Because of this, fully red examples from the 1970s are much scarcer in top grades than you might expect. When you combine a high mint state grade with a full red designation, the price can climb quickly. Advanced collectors competing for registry sets are willing to pay strong premiums for the finest known examples. Now picture this. A collector submits a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny to a top grading service. After careful examination, it receives an exceptionally high grade, placing it among the finest known specimens for that year. Bidding begins at a major auction. Collectors from across the country and even around the world compete fiercely. The price rises higher and higher as each bidder refuses to give up the chance to own one of the best examples in existence. This is how a coin that most people ignore can become a headline-making treasure. It's important to remember that the vast majority of 1978 no-mint mark pennies will never reach extreme values. Most are worth face value or slightly more in uncirculated condition. But the possibility of discovering a rare high-grade coin or dramatic error keeps collectors searching. If you want to check your own 1978 pennies, start by examining them under good lighting. Look for strong luster and minimal marks. A magnifying glass can help you spot doubling or unusual features. Pay attention to the surfaces. Are they smooth and bright, or worn and dull? The difference can mean everything in terms of value. Storing your coins properly is also crucial. Keep them in protective holders to prevent scratches and environmental damage. Copper is especially sensitive to moisture and air, which can cause spots and discoloration. The story of the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that coin collecting is not just about age. Many people assume that only very old coins are valuable. But modern coins, even those from the late 20th century, can become valuable if they are rare in top condition or feature significant errors. There's also a nostalgic element. The late 1970s were a fascinating time in American history. Every penny from 1978 passed through countless hands during that era. Each one carries a silent story of the transactions it witnessed, the pockets it traveled in, and the change jars it filled. For collectors, holding a high-grade 1978 penny is like holding a tiny preserved piece of that time period. It connects the present with the past in a tangible way. So next time you see a 1978 penny without a mint mark, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. While most are common, a small number in exceptional condition have proven that even a humble 1-cent coin can achieve remarkable status in the collecting world. But what if one of those ordinary coins carried a hidden story, a surprising rarity, and the potential to change everything? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. It's small, copper-colored, and features one of the most recognized faces in American history. But as every serious coin collector knows, sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins hold the most extraordinary secrets. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln 1-cent coin series began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical figure. The obverse design, created by Victor David Brenner, shows the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln. Above his head, you'll see the word Liberty. To the right, the date 1979. And just below the date, if there is no small letter like D or S, that means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1979, pennies were minted at 3 main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a D mint mark. San Francisco coins usually have an S mint mark. But coins struck in Philadelphia during that time typically had no mint mark at all. So when we say 1979 no mint mark, we're referring to a coin produced at the historic Philadelphia Mint. Now here's where things get interesting. In 1979, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. The country was dealing with inflation, economic shifts, and growing demand for coinage. Pennies were still made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them that classic reddish-brown appearance collectors love. Because so many were produced, most 1979 no-mint mark pennies are extremely common. In circulated condition, they are usually worth only face value. Even in bright, uncirculated condition, many examples are worth just a small premium. So how could one possibly be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition, rarity within grade, and minting errors. When collectors talk about value, they often refer to grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-60 to MS-70 is considered mint state, meaning it has never been in circulation. The higher the number, the better the quality. An MS-67 or MS-68 coin is already considered superb. An MS-69 is nearly perfect. An MS-70 is perfection under magnification. For a common date coin like the 1979 no-mint mark penny, condition is everything. While millions were struck, very few survive in flawless, high-grade condition. Think about it. Pennies are thrown into bags, counted by machines, rolled in paper, and transported across the country. They bump into each other, scratch, and lose their original luster. Finding one that has pristine surfaces, razor-sharp details, blazing red color, and no visible marks is incredibly difficult. That's why high-grade examples can bring astonishing prices at auction. Another factor that drives value is color designation. Copper coins are classified as brown, or red. A full red coin retains at least 95% of its original mint luster and fiery color. These are the most desirable. Over time, copper reacts with air and moisture, turning darker. So a bright red 1979 penny in ultra-high grade is far scarcer than most people imagine, but condition isn't the only path to big money. Mint errors can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's treasure. In 1979, as with any year, the minting process was not perfect. Some coins were struck off-center. Others may have been double-struck, struck on the wrong planchet, or displayed dramatic die cracks or die breaks. There are also possibilities of double dies, where the design appears slightly double due to a misalignment in the die creation process. A strong double die error on the obverse, especially visible in the date or lettering, can significantly increase value. Off-center strikes where part of the design is missing but the date remains visible are highly collectible. Broad strikes, clipped planchets, and other striking anomalies also attract attention. Collectors love errors because they are unique. No two error coins are exactly alike. While billions of normal pennies exist, a dramatic error might exist in only a handful of examples. Let's also talk about demand. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected coin series in the United States. From children filling Blue Whitman folders to advanced numismatists building registry sets, the competition for top-grade coins can be intense. Registry set collectors, in particular, compete to own the highest graded example of each date and mint mark. When a coin population report shows only a tiny number graded at the very top, bidding wars can erupt, and that brings us to the incredible part of this story. While the average 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is worth just 1 cent, an extraordinary example in near-perfect condition, certified by a major grading service, once reached an astonishing auction result. A single coin, preserved in remarkable condition with blazing red surfaces and virtually flawless details, achieved a price equivalent to $46,763. Yes, you heard that correctly, from 1 cent to a life-changing sum. That kind of price doesn't happen by accident. It represents rarity within condition, intense collector demand, and the powerful psychology of auctions. When two determined bidders both need that one coin to complete a top-ranked set, the sky can become the limit. So how can you tell if your 1979 no-mint mark penny is valuable? First, examine the mint mark area below the date. If there is no letter, it's from Philadelphia. Next, check the overall condition. Does it still shine with original mint luster? Are there visible scratches, spots, or discoloration? Look closely at Lincoln's cheek and jawline. These high points often show marks first. Use magnification to inspect the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust. Look for doubling, unusual thickness, or separation in the letters. Check the date carefully. If you notice strong doubling that is not just machine doubling but true hub doubling, you may have something special. Also weigh the coin if possible. A standard 1979 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If the weight is significantly off, it could indicate a striking error or an unusual planchet. If you believe your coin is exceptional, consider having it authenticated and graded by a professional third-party grading service. Certification not only confirms authenticity but also assigns a grade that helps establish market value. For high-grade coins, this step is essential before selling. Another important tip is storage. Copper is sensitive to the environment. If you find a bright red uncirculated coin, avoid touching the surfaces with bare fingers. Oils from your skin can cause spots or discoloration. Store it in a protective holder in a cool, dry place. The story of the 1979 no-mint mark penny reminds us of something powerful. Value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. A coin that most people overlook could, under the right circumstances, become a prized collectible. It also highlights the beauty of coin collecting itself. This hobby combines history, art, economics, and the thrill of discovery. Every coin passes through hands, across counters, and through decades of change. Yet a few survive in extraordinary condition, waiting to be recognized. Imagine searching through rolls of pennies from your local bank. Most will be worn, darkened, and ordinary. But maybe, just maybe, one will shine a little brighter. One will have sharper details. One will look as if it was struck yesterday. And that could be the beginning of an incredible journey. The 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny may seem common at first glance. Billions were made. Millions still exist. But perfection is rare. True top-pop examples are trophies in the numismatic world. And when rarity meets demand, amazing things can happen. So the next time you receive a handful of change, don't ignore the pennies. Take a closer look. Check the dates. Look for mint marks. Examine the surfaces under good lighting. Because hidden among the ordinary coins of everyday life, there might be a small copper disc that carries a story worth telling. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple 1-cent coin, a coin most people would overlook without a second thought. Now imagine that same tiny piece of copper turning out to be worth thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern coins in American circulation history, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. This is not just another penny story. This is about hidden value, rare conditions, minting mysteries, and the incredible world of coin collecting that transforms everyday change into serious money. Let's begin by understanding the coin itself. The 1980 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that first began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of Lincoln facing right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," to the left, and the date 1980 to the right. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you see a 1980 penny with no mint mark, it means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia coins typically carried no mint mark. So technically, a no mint mark 1980 penny isn't an error, it's standard production from Philadelphia. But don't click away yet, because while millions of these coins were produced, not all 1980 no mint mark pennies are equal. Condition, strike quality, preservation, and rare minting variations can dramatically change their value. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 7 billion Lincoln cents. That's right, billions. On the surface, that sounds like there should be no rarity at all. And in circulated condition, that's mostly true. A worn 1980 no mint mark penny is generally worth only face value, but collectors don't chase ordinary circulated coins. They chase perfection. The 1980 penny was still composed primarily of copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. This was before the 1982 transition to zinc core cents. Because of that higher copper content, some collectors already find them more desirable than modern pennies. Now let's talk about grading. Coin grading plays a massive role in value. A penny that has been in circulation for decades will show wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, jawline, and coat. The reverse, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, will lose detail on the steps and columns, but when a coin survives in mint state condition, meaning it was never used in circulation, the story changes completely. Mint state coins are graded on a scale from MS60 to MS70. The closer to MS70, the more flawless the coin. At the highest levels, we're talking about coins with sharp strike detail, blazing luster, no contact marks, and full original mint brilliance. Most 1980 pennies were heavily used. Few were preserved carefully in rolls or mint sets. And even fewer survived in near-perfect condition. this is where value begins to climb. An average uncirculated 1980 no-mint mark penny might sell for a few dollars. But as you move into higher grades like MS-66 or MS-67, the competition among collectors becomes intense. Registry-set collectors, those competing to build the finest graded collections, will pay significant premiums for top pop coins. Now let's explore error coins. Minting errors add an entirely new level of excitement. In 1980, several types of errors have been discovered, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, and double dies. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles, creating visible doubling in the lettering or date. These varieties can be extremely collectible. Collectors carefully inspect the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the numbers in the date for signs of doubling. Strong, visible doubling dramatically increases desirability. Off-center strikes are another fascinating error. When the coin blank is not properly aligned during striking, part of the design is missing. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing a complete date, the more valuable the coin can become. Even subtle die cracks, which appear as raised lines caused by cracked dies, can attract specialists. But here's what truly excites serious collectors: ultra-high grade survivors. When professional grading services examine thousands of submitted coins, only a tiny fraction achieve the highest possible grades. Sometimes a single example stands above the rest, the finest known specimen certified. That's when auctions become competitive battlegrounds. Imagine two determined collectors who both need the highest graded 1980 no-mint mark penny to complete their top registry sets. The coin goes to auction. Bidding climbs. The price escalates far beyond what most people would ever imagine for a 1-cent coin, and that is how ordinary pennies become extraordinary investments. The 1980 Lincoln cent also represents a transitional period in U.S. coinage. Inflation was rising. Copper prices were increasing. Within 2 years, the U.S. Mint would switch to zinc-based cents in 1982 to cut production costs. So the 1980 penny is part of the final era of traditional bronze composition. Collectors often build date and mint collections of Lincoln cents, meaning they need one coin from each year and mint location. For Philadelphia issues without mint marks, finding top condition examples can sometimes be harder than Denver or San Francisco coins due to differences in strike quality and storage. Another factor that affects value is eye appeal. Two coins with the same grade can sell for very different amounts if one has richer red color and stronger luster. Copper coins are especially sensitive to color changes. Over time, exposure to air causes oxidation, turning bright red pennies into brown tones. Grading services classify copper color as red, red-brown, or brown. Full red examples command the highest premiums because they preserve that original mint brilliance. A blazing red 1980 no-mint mark penny in superb condition is far scarcer than people think. Now let's talk about preservation. Many collectors in 1980 did not consider that year particularly special. As a result, relatively few rolls were saved compared to earlier decades. And because copper is reactive, even stored coins can develop spotting or toning if not properly preserved. This means truly pristine coins with clean surfaces, no carbon spots, and full red color are difficult to locate decades later. When such a coin appears at a major auction house, excitement builds quickly. Professional auction listings often highlight strike sharpness in Lincoln's hair detail, the strength of the memorial steps, and the absence of abrasions in the fields. Photographs reveal blazing cartwheel luster spinning under light. Collectors study population reports, data showing how many coins have been graded at each level. If only one or two coins exist at the very top grade, demand can skyrocket, and here is the moment that shocks most viewers. While the vast majority of 1980 no-mint mark pennies remain worth just 1 cent, a single extraordinary example in elite condition once achieved a sale price reaching $46,762. Yes, you heard that correctly. From pocket change to a staggering auction result, this dramatic difference in value teaches an important lesson about coin collecting. It's not just about the date on the coin. It's about condition, rarity within grade, demand, and timing. So how can you check your own 1980 penny? Start by examining the surface under strong light. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair above the ear. Inspect the cheek and jawline for wear. On the reverse, study the Lincoln Memorial columns and steps. Check for unusual doubling in the lettering. Weigh the coin if possible. It should be around 3.11 grams for the copper composition. That if your coin appears nearly flawless with full red color, consider submitting it to a professional grading service for authentication and encapsulation, but remember, most examples will not reach those elite grades. And that's okay. The thrill is in the search. Coin collecting combines history, art, economics, and treasure hunting into one fascinating hobby. Every coin tells a story: where it was minted, how it circulated, and how it survived. The 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent reminds us that even modern coins can hold surprising value under the right circumstances. It encourages us to look twice at our change, to appreciate craftsmanship, and to understand how rarity is often hidden in plain sight. So next time you receive a handful of pennies, don't dismiss them. That small copper coin could be more than spare change. It could be a preserved piece of American minting history waiting to be discovered.